Hi gang, Jess Hartley here. Thanks for joining me for part 3 of my Dystopia Rising Oregon LARP adventures. I realized as I was editing these little bits of video footage that I used a term that I hadn't explained to you guys yet, so I wanted to make sure and explain to you what the term bleed out means. So in our game, you have a certain amount of health points. They're referred to as body. And your opponent's weapons will do a certain amount of damage, which every time they strike you, they call out the damage. So they would strike you and say 3 or 7 or whatever amount. And that amount is taken off of your body. So if you have 20 body and you're struck with a weapon that strikes for 7 points of damage, then by the time the third hit strikes you, you are down below 0 body. At that point in Dystopia Rising, you enter a state called bleed out. And what that is kind of you're on death's door, your life is hanging on the line, you get a 5-minute bleed out counter, and if no one heals you or nothing happens to increase your body up into the positive amounts by the end of that 5-minute bleed out counter, then you die. In Dystopia Rising, that's not a permanent status. We have infection, which are essentially comebacks. So you go to the grave mind, as I talked about in one of the previous LARP adventure videos, and when you come back, you're -1 infection, and eventually you will run out of infection and not be able to come back at all, and your character then permanently dies, which is slang termed just perming in this game. So I wanted to explain to you a little bit about what bleed out was. When you're in bleed out, you can't do most things for yourself. You can't run, you can't even walk, you can't drink healing brews on your own, that kind of thing. So you're kind of in a helpless status for that 5-minute period. So when we refer to something as going into bleed out, that's what that means. Anyway, this is going to be a really fun little session. I got a chance to showcase some of the costumes and the phys reps for some really neat items, and I'm really excited about sharing with you. So let's take a look. Hi guys! So here we are at the Dystopia Rising game in Oregon, and I am, as you can see, in character to play my character Mother Maggie. I am in Medbay, which is the area that they have set aside for people who need to sleep uninterrupted, and game hasn't started yet, so I'm taking this opportunity to chit-chat with you for a few minutes before I get out and try and do some more recording and catch some more people's costumes and phys reps and that kind of thing. I wanted to take a chance because I didn't really get a chance to show you what my costume looked like on last time, so I actually have a tripod now and I can back away. So, oh, no, okay, well, I didn't plan this very well. Look at this. This is Mother Maggie sitting, because that's important. Printers sit a lot. So as you can see, I have the knee pads that I talked about at the last game, very important, both for falling down, because I do that a lot, also for when you go into bleed out, rather than if the ground is really wet or muddy or that kind of thing, it's really nice to be able to just take a knee and pretend to be bleeding out as opposed to actually falling all the way down on the ground. This is the armor that I was telling you guys about. I've got wings on the back, which are Mother Maggie's symbol to remind her to always keep moving forward. I've got the hat that I showed you before that's great for keeping the sun and rain off. I've got my amazing boots that protect my ankles really well. I've also got a belt that holds my belt pouch. This is very handy for keeping all my bits and bobs in. I've got my flask that's got my healing brew in it in case my character gets injured and put into bleed out and doesn't have a doctor around handy. I've got this really great little holster that my husband made me, Pat of Bad Bear Labs, to hold my weapon. It's got a snap release here, so anytime I need to use it, I can just pull it off there. This is the weapon that I was telling you guys about. Because my character is a printer, Oh, there we go. Because my character is a printer, my husband made me a small weapon that looks like a roll of rolled up blueprints. It's actually got the blueprint for Zed Be Gone, which is a zombie deterrent brew on it, which that's just because Maggie has kind of a sick little sense of humor. Anyway, also got a pouch that I keep on me all the time, and this is the pouch I've decorated with Sainthood of Ashes symbols and words from the Sainthood of Ashes. This "Not by bread alone" is my family motto. This symbol is the same one that's on my knee pads. It's a Celtic cross with our soup bowl for our family sigil in the center of it. You can see it there, kind of. Oh, everything's reversed. Oh, you learn something new every day. Okay. So this has got all my life-saving healing brews, and I just keep it tucked back here so that I never am without it. Here's my armor that I was telling you about with all the really cool symbols that are all from different people that my character has befriended. And that's about it for me. Oh, also, last time that I was vlogging about this, I didn't have my makeup on for Mother Maggie. She is a Nation of a Censor, which is the strain that is most closely tied to faiths. And originally, Nation of a Censor, at a certain point in their life, go through what's called an ascension. And what that is their holy connection really coming manifest. Mechanically, it's when characters hit 100 XP spent, but in-game, it can be when the character is 16 if the person starts playing them very young. In my case, because I started playing Mother Maggie when I, as a player, was 40 years old, Maggie didn't actually go through her ascension until I'd been playing her for a couple of years. So part of her story is that she was very worried that she was a bad Nation of a Censor because she hadn't manifested her Ascensorite mutation, basically, early on. So originally, because the aspect of good that Mother Maggie follows is the hearth fire, she was originally a cook. So she sees good as the kitchen, the hearth, the fireplace that we all gather around to form a community and that kind of thing. So originally, her ascension, when it happened, was fire. I did fire makeup around her eyes. I did fire fingernails, that kind of thing. But as she, a couple of years ago, she was murdered, and thanks, Jericho. And she changed the grave mind, which is what happens in this game when you die. You don't die forever. You go to the grave mind, you lose an infection, and every character has a certain number of infections. So you basically get some comebacks. And when she went to the grave mind took away her ability to be a cook. So she took up the printing profession, and because she is so dedicated to that, her ascension actually started modifying and gradually turned into blueprint blue fingernails, lips, and eyes and shading on her face. And that's actually when I started out of game dyeing my hair blue, so it kind of worked all together for that. So I actually had forgotten my makeup at home last game, so that's why I didn't get a chance to show you it. So anyway, I'm going to go show you some other people's cool stuff, because what I do is nothing compared to what some of the great characters here, or the great players here, are doing for their characters. So I really want to show you some of that. So I'll catch up with you later.
Do I look okay?
You look wonderful.
Okay.
Hi guys, so I am in the tavern area, and I managed to snag one of my friends. The game hasn't started yet, so we're not messing with anybody's immersion or anything. Tagged one of my friends who has amazing costuming, and I wanted to take a minute to have them show you, what they're wearing, why they're wearing it, and that kind of thing. So tell me about you.
Hi, my name's Elise.
Tell them. Oh. Tell them about you. I know you.
Hi, I'm Elise. I play Kester McLean in Dystopia Rising. She is a remnant character, if you're familiar with the different strains in the game, which means she has physical mutations. In my case, I play her as a griffin remnant. So
I did not actually know that That is so cool. That explains so much.
Yep.
I love it. How wonderful. So you made the cap with your ears, and these are actually in character. These are actually wings
these
grow
are actually
from you.
like her ears.
Yeah.
So if you think of medieval illustrations of griffins, they always have those tall, pointed, feathery ears, and that was what I wanted to replicate for Kess.
That is so cool.
And so for a long time, I had just like a pair of turkey feathers stuck in here, and it worked, but it wasn't quite what I was wanting to do. What I did is I already had the hat, and so I shaped a couple pieces of leather into like the basic shape of the ear underneath, and safety pinned that in place, and I just took some craft glue and glued a whole bunch of pheasant feathers on
They're
here.
wonderful.
So you can see how I did the shape inside and out, and it's really comfortable to wear because it's just attached to the hat.
Which is so important. I know so many people who have these great ideas about how to do remnant mutations, or as I was talking about earlier, ascensorite mutations, or ascensorite ascensions. But they have great ideas, but things like actual wings, they're just not practical. You know, when they're bad enough when you're standing around in the tavern and wearing them for 36 hours straight, but when you go out
for a whole weekend, when you're running around, you got to make sure you got something you can wear the whole time.
And fighting and that kind of thing. They're just, sometimes some things are really great ideas, but are just not practical to use in game. Also, I wanted to see the really cool weapons that you have.
So, Cass McLean is a gunslinger, so she has these really great flintlock musket axe guns that I had made for her. And so these are actually boffer safe. I can whack with them and it doesn't hurt. They don't have any core inside. And so these were made by Tobias McCurry, and I had these custom made. I'll put a link
to Tobias' stuff down below because he does really, really great work.
Yeah, I had these made custom for Kess a couple months ago because I really wanted to have something of her own, because for a while I was just borrowing pieces that other people made.
Sure.
And they were old ones that other people had given me, and it just didn't quite feel like Kess.
Yeah, it's nice to have something that really, I showed them earlier my blueprint small weapon, and that's, so these unlike, because we do use, some people use Nerf guns in this game. When you have a gun weapon, you can use an actual Nerf gun, and we shoot Nerf darts at each other. But you can't hit people with them, obviously, because that would hurt. So these are the other way that you can represent guns in this game is to have a fizz rep that doesn't shoot and throw red packets filled with bird seed.
I got one right here.
Oh, look at that. Okay, so this is how you represent shooting somebody. You throw the packet at them and then call the damage when it hits them. And then you can whip these out and use them as actual small weapons.
Exactly.
They're smalls?
Yes.
Small size.
It's a melee small. Yes.
Fantastic. That is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me to talk.
Okay, so we're going to go find some other people and show off some cool aspects of their costume. Thanks for hanging around with us.
Bye, guys.
Hi guys, so I have another friend who has some really cool costuming. Rather than sit at the table, I want to show you like the full outfit of it. So I'm going to flip this around here. This is so cool. I'm going to step back here so that you can see. Can we see your shield too? That is really neat looking. Whoops, no, there we go. That is really, really cool. Okay, is there a particular part of this that you're especially proud of? Sorry, they're being really loud. So, oops, there we go.
Yeah,
look at that! You're actually a very handsome young man behind that mask.
Thank you. The mask and a lot of the scarves, because they're from other characters who have died.
Oh, that's really cool.
So, yeah, they're mementos.
That's really neat. So that's one of the things that I love the most about this game is that even after a character's story has ended, it still lives on through the other players, through the other characters that they had relationships with and that kind of thing.
That's correct.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for showing us your stuff, Aaron. Bye.
Bye.
So I wanted to show you guys an example of a really cool still that was put together for Dystopia Rising. This is the still that is owned by some characters here in Dystopia Rising, Oregon. As you can see, they've cobbled together a thermos, a glass jar, some copper tubing. It even has its own timer. And they've bundled it together so it can be easily transportable out of game, which is absolutely fantastic. Hi
guys, so I found another friend here. This is actually Ryan. I just met him today, and he has moved up here from Florida, and so this is his first game playing here with Dystopia Rising Oregon, and I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to roleplay with him. He has a really cool costume piece that he made that I wanted to show you. Tell them all about this, Ryan.
This is my 3D printed retrograde mask. Took about 5 days fully printed, and then I plastic welded it all together, sanded it, spray filler bonder over it, sanded that again, and then sprayed it white, and then just used brown wash after brown wash, then a black wash, all to make it look
That
like
is
real
so
foam.
amazing. So you made that in several pieces and then fit them together and connected them
Yeah,
and such.
2 pieces, the skull cap and then the actual skull face.
Okay, that's great. And did you develop the pattern yourself, or was that a pattern that you...
No, this is a pattern I found on Thingiverse.
Nice. I've
Yeah.
heard really good things about that. My husband has a 3D printer too, and I've heard
It's-
really good things about it.
It's a real great place to find good props and all that. You just have to be careful that they're all actual mesh tight so they can print properly.
Oh, okay. So I am going to go find a link to Thingiverse, and I'll put it down in the comments down below. Would you mind trying it on so they can see how cool it is?
Sure.
That is so freaking neat. I would not want to run into your character in the middle of the night if I did not know that you were a friend.
Yeah. It's kind of bad for sawbones.
Because sawbones are basically a combat medic kind of profession, and so it's really loud. We're in the tavern, so but they tend to run in and rescue people out of dangerous situations. So yeah, that would be really scary coming to rescue.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks very much for taking time to chat with us, Ryan.
No problem.
So we're going to go find some more people to interview. But practicality is really important.
Safety's first. Yeah.
Exactly. I showed him my boots. Thank you very much for joining us, Adam. Bye. Hi guys. So game's about ready to start, so I'm going to be going for a while, but I wanted to take time to introduce you to one more person. This is one of my favorite DR players because she actually happens to be my youngest daughter. This is Miss Autumn Rose.
Hi.
This is her character, Fjord, who is a saltwise. As you can tell, saltwise are kind of aquatic strain, and her character happens to be related to the abyssal saltwise, which are the ones who are from deep sea trenches. So she's got a lot of aspects. Put your hand up again. She's got a lot of aspects of sea creatures, and especially of this kinds of sea creatures that you might find in deep water trenches. She's got a beautiful smile. Here, tip your hat back, so.
Don't like that at all.
And she's got wonderful costuming. Whoops, no, wait, I'm still learning how to do this. Wonderful costuming. She's got like a net. Her skirt's made out of a net, and I'm going to scroll down here so that you can see her shoes, which are, I'm hoping you can see those. They're absolutely amazing. She made them out of those kind of shoes that have toe shoes and then affixed toenails to them, and they look really, really cool. So, and they're cold. Yes, it is. I would like to note that it is January in Oregon, so this character's costuming is much more suited for summertime.
I only have a sweater though.
You have a sweater. That's great. Show them again your hand pieces. So you actually made these. They're made out of like spandex fabric that you created into gloves.
Yeah.
And you made them. They're actually webbed, and these are reinforced to give them a little stability. And then you actually decorated what would be the finger markings and stuff, so it doesn't look like you're wearing gloves. They actually look like someone's hands that just happen to be, dark and webbed and really freaking scary. Yeah. So thank you very much for showing us your stuff, Autumn. It was really cool. I'm really proud of her. So I'm going to go. They're starting to do opening announcements, so we got to run. But I'm hoping to catch some more people when it's daylight tomorrow in the out-of-game area and show you some more really cool costumes. Bye!
Hey gang, thanks for watching part 3 of my Dystopia Rising Oregon LARP adventure. I had a really great time going to the game. Unfortunately, I had to cut my weekend a little bit short, so that's the end of the footage that I have for you. Hopefully next time I go, I'll be able to get some of the more action shots and that sort of thing, as opposed to just being able to film before and after game. Go ahead and, if you get a chance, like and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of the future episodes that we've got coming out. Thanks.